One-page extravaganza, one-page extravaganza.
Hi. So this entire time I've been talking with no sound. Okay. Thank you, Susanna. For heaven's sakes. Okay. So, what I was saying before, I know I've been away a lot, and I thank you for telling me that, Susanna. I know I've been away a lot, and I know that that throws off some people's routines when the thing that they do on a regular basis isn't there. So I appreciate people's understanding in that. Had a bunch of things I had to get done, and we're there. There's going to be a few different changes coming up in the future, and primarily one of the things that's going to be new for a little bit is that I'll be doing streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2:00 for the next little while. And in addition to that, there is going to be a number of other things that will be happening, especially on YouTube. But for the foreseeable future, the only live streams are going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's the only ones that I'm guaranteeing. It doesn't mean that there won't be the odd ones around those as well. Susanna says, hi, welcome aboard, Susanna. Thank you for letting me know about the sound. I got the envelopes with the goodies. Thanks. Please say thanks to Lori, too. I will indeed. Thanks very much, Susanna. I'm glad you received those, and thank you for picking up the one-page comic extravaganza book. I have ordered... Here's the one we're talking about. I have ordered a number of alphabet book, number of copies of that are coming in, so I'll be able to show people that on a stream. But that is a whole thing. There's going to be a bunch of different things around alphabet book that I'm required to be doing right now, and so you'll see a little more of that immediately. There are some signings and things that I'm going to be doing for the next couple of books. At middle of next month is the London Comic Con here in the city that I live, where I'm a featured guest this year, and we're going to be doing all kinds of really fun stuff. I'm really excited for that. I'll be doing a live stream on at the London Comic Con, and I'm excited for that. I'm really excited for the opportunity to be able to be doing live videos, and to be able to be doing hosting events. We'll have artists working on stuff. It's going to be a whole ball of things. So I'll be letting people know about that. We're going to build that up and have something to do with the local convention people, the London Comic Con here. We'll be promoting the heck out of that, I think. So, another piece of information is this. I'm going to switch cameras. I'll talk about today's page in just a second. This is what I have left. Oh, don't look at that. This is what I have left for postcard surfaces. I made a whole bunch of them. And so this is what I've got, is this this half dozen of those. So I'll be doing things on there. And I think what we'll be doing is having draws for those, for people that are followers of the channel. We're really making a conscious push right now in order to grow the channel a little bit, because I'm finding we're a little bit hindered on the number of things that we can do because we only have so many followers. And so I've learned that once the follower base opens up, then that lets us do a whole bunch of more fun things, and I'm looking forward to that a lot. So yeah, stay tuned. This is a new page I'm putting together. I want to show you something with this. I've got a zoom camera I can pop in on, and I'm going to get on today's page. So this is a piece of plastic, okay, that this image is on. And having drawn this on plastic, so I drew it in a Fudenosuke pen, and then I laid a coat of matte medium over that. And it's the plastic itself is on top of a jelly-plated surface, okay? So you can see the jelly-plated surface with nothing on it, and then there's a sheet of plastic. So I lay a coat of matte medium on that, and then on top of that, I went over it with ballpoint pen. And on top of the ballpoint pen, I used a white Jelly Roll pen and a graphite pencil. And so some of this, I'm really excited about this texture. So some of this really fun and interesting parging, and you can see some of the lines of the pen still peeking through there, you know, and so it's a really fun process that I'm going to be doing across this page. So I'm having fun with that. I'm trying a whole bunch of different experimental things, folks, and I'm excited to share that with everybody. So here is today's page. Today's page is drawn in marker on a sheet of paper, cardstock, and then it was scanned, put into the robot, and once it was in the robot, I did all kinds of this this sort of shimmering effect that you see there around all the lines, and of different, there's a stroke function is what it's called, and that stroke function lets you put an outline, an immediate outline around any lines that you have down. And so what you can do with that, if you start thinking along the lines of how can I make this have an interesting complexity to this destabilizing of clean lines that I've put down, by putting that stroke function on there in different combinations of color, it can give you a really, really interesting kind of effect. So I'm going to zoom in here and talk a little bit about what I mean. So here is some circles drawn in orange marker right here, and with the circles drawn in orange marker, as I've haloed that in a black line, and then I've gone through and I've just with the eraser just gone through and cleaned up around a lot of the little speckling around the area, and where I left it in there, you can see how it just puts these fantastic fun little spots of information, and it gives it a greater sense of depth because you've got your solid values and then you've got your dispersed value that's in behind it. So in this case, where you look at the where the hand is, to the right of the hand is this double circular pattern between the hand and my name, and then beside that you can see these tiny little dots, and those dots is just the surface errata from the drawing. And so when you do this stroke function and this sort of outline is what it really is. What that does for you is it draws a little more focus to this little small dots of information that are on your original drawing. These little dabs and dips and inks and swipes and smudges and as you do that a few times, you realize you get this interesting complexity of marks there that would be much harder to do in an interesting and yet simplified pattern if you're just doing it with a mark making tool yourself. Hi, Linda. Welcome aboard. So hi, Tim. So yeah, so I've been having a lot of fun doing this one, and it's your typical silliness of Christopher. It's a pie in the face. That's what it is. So this is a page written from the perspective of the individuals in the stories that I write, and so generally the feeling of being put through all kinds of silliness for no reason is what I'm having him state. Something else I've been doing right now in the studio is that I have done a bunch of jelly plated, well, interesting surfaces anyways. These are some squares that I've drawn on a piece of white paper. And while not very exciting, for some reason I find that by taking a red paint and just dry brushing some paint on that piece of paper in and around where those squares are, for some reason in my head, this becomes an interesting surface to work on. And here's another one of those. Just, it makes, I don't know what it necessarily means to the structure of whatever it is that I'm going to work on top of this, but it's just something different to draw on. In addition to this, and stuff like it, I did a bunch of jelly prints here, and with varying degrees, as is usual with me. Here's one that has a nice landing scene as well as a moon, which you really can't make out, and which is fine to me, because neither one of these things do I feel like I'm confined in having to use those drawings. I'm just as ready to turn them on their side and to draw a one-page story across it in a landscape format. And all this becomes for me is interesting information on the surface to draw on. And so we shouldn't have to feel locked in and obligated to fulfill whatever of this image. Here's another one of these Icelandic shots that with varying degrees of success. Now the difference here is that I've got some gold paint in here, which is going to be really interesting when scanned. And again, we can turn that on the side and look at all that fun information that it provides us with for drawing on. So here is another one of these lined pieces of paper where I'll box out, and what this is for me to sit down and plot out a book by the pages. That's why I draw these lines on these pages, is that early days I would utilize those for planning out long process works. I'm currently finishing off a book that I didn't think I was going to do. I'm currently finishing off a full one-page book. A full book, not a one-page book, but a full graphic story. 70 right now it's 73 pages long, and it incorporates a whole bunch of different mediums, and I'm excited, and it's coming together very fun, very nice, and usually in a long form story like that is that I'll try to plot out what's happening on each page, even if it's just a little box and it says toothache. I have to discern what that means for myself. Usually it's a short script for the fact that somebody's at the dentist in that page or something like that. So here's another one. Now this one's got a little more to it. Here's a tree in another planet. Whether it's the moon or Pluto or whatever, I don't know. But I took a bunch of books out of an astronomy magazine that I'd picked up some time ago. Yeah, and so I used that to put down the white moon in behind. This is very texturous because I peeled it up too soon, and so it pulled away some paint and left other paint to have this coarse surface to it, which I enjoy. And there's what was intended to be a positive and a negative tree. So yeah, there's another fun surface to work on, and clearly this one tends to lean itself towards that landscape format. Whether I maintain that or not, I don't know. But here is a pretty straight on flat out page on Mercury. And so I'd put the first layer down in blue and came in behind that with a orange vermilion color. Now, if you hold it up very, let's get the right angle. Oh, that might be it. You can see that there's a texture pattern that I put in it from a stencil. And you can see some of it in here now. So there's a little more interesting complexity to that. I mean, this again is another one of these pages where we could turn it on its side, and despite there's some text here, doesn't matter. So this is all I was able to get done this morning. I had a couple meetings, and I'm trying to finish all the paperwork for One Page Story Volume 2. So exciting developments, but I'll have a copy in my hot little hands soon enough to show people of Alphabet Book. So I'm looking forward to that. So here is a bunch of surfaces with some rather varied colors to work on for one-page stories. So yeah, but that'll go into the pile. I've done some other things recently as well. I've put together a couple of slideshows of the I can show you one really quick. How's that? Because you've all been such good kittens that kept your mittens. Let's do it at this, and excuse me a moment, I'm just pulling up the slideshow to show you. So here is the postcard, and then we'll have a thing of this very soon. Boom, 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 boom. Boy, oh boy, I got a lot of things to click and flick through here. There we go. So here comes the fit the screen. There we go. So here is the slideshow of ended up doing 35 postcards this month. A couple of things worked, or 35 images anyways. Excuse me. And really pleased with them. I think the postcard challenge was a lot of fun, and there's a video that's coming up of this, as well as a couple of other slideshow videos of things I've got that we've been putting together, but this is just a quick show of the postcards we've been doing. So yeah, I don't know about other people. I hope other people had fun doing that. If you took on that challenge, I know that it's a lot to do a consistent thing for 31 days. But I say to you this, if you can establish yourself objectively a goal of trying to do a simple thing each day, and simple by degrees, right? Let's be honest, simple by degrees. For some people, a single drawing is something that takes them some more time. But what I say by simple by degrees is that if you can do a piece of the drawing, or the whole underlying point is you consistently put in a little bit of work each day on some project, some objective goal, you'd be surprised what you can put together. And for this postcard challenge, it's taking these 4x6 square images, and there we go, and putting a static image down on top of that. Now I set myself an additional theme for this month, and that all of the postcards that I did, including the two that are showing now, which join together into a double page postcard, or double card spread. So my objective was for each postcard to be lyrics from a song. And so with that in mind, I did 31 postcards, but I did 31 cards of music, cards of songs. Like this is Little 15 by Depeche Mode, you know, and you know, this every page has got something silly going on. Like this is Edge of 17, Stevie Nicks, that's on the screen now. It was just a lot of fun to go through with a bunch of songs that I find interesting by different bands, and to put them together. And this is a Rolling Stones card. It's not necessarily a static or expected kind of Rolling Stones image. And this is a fairy tale or a folk song. So, you know, it's just whatever. It's just lyrics to a song that incorporates the number for the day. So it's a lot of fun. I didn't continue on after 31 days. I didn't continue doing more. I have 6 pre-cut postcard surfaces that I'll do some static images on, but those will be for something else. And just like I said before, it might be giveaways or something. But good project, good fun, good objective, and I saw a lot of really cool stuff being produced by people, and I really respect and appreciate that. So if your work was being shown on a social media platform, please share it. Please share it with each other, and try to look up what each other were doing. That's Arlo Guthrie, by the way. That's Alice's Restaurant. That was a really confusing one for people. A lot of people had a hard time figuring that one out. So yeah, please share it with others. I did my best to try to get around and see whichever ones that I could. But it's a hard thing to do when so many people that you're following are all putting the same things together, and it just becomes overwhelming. This is my easiest one, A675309. So, yeah, and then there's little Bob Seger at the end. Rock and roll never forgets, but as Bob Seger's getting older, you got to wonder. There's the base postcard, and the last thing is the plain white postcard for those that want to do their own. So that's the images for the postcard, and it was a lot of fun. So let's see, we've got a couple things we can do today. I've been posting one pages, and the postcard challenges primarily. I got a whole bunch of one page pieces that I'll be putting up on Patreon, and then I've got some help now with the stream, with the channels. I've got help now to organize and promote things now. So I'm pretty happy with that, folks. It's very much appreciated. Yeah. What in the world is going on with this? Yeah, okay. Get lost. There you go. So, yeah, it's fun to have somebody who's assisting, and as well as Lori. Lori and I have got something planned that we're going to be doing together on the stream here as a fun thing for us to do together. So pay attention to that, especially if you're a fan of Maeve Binchy, because it'll be related somewhat to that. And I'm really looking forward to that time spent with my partner talking about something we both enjoy, which is writing. So, okay, let's see. I got the book, the magic book, the book of suggestions out, and I've got some paper here. Well, I've got paper everywhere around me right now, it feels like. So I had talked about doing a page recently called the Tears of a Nova Scotian Elf, and this was suggested by Robert Vett. And this is one of these pages that I never got a chance to go back and do, just because I got all swept up with trying to get other obligations done at the time. So I think that Tears of a Nova Scotian Elf might be a fun one to try for us to do today. As usual, I don't have a specific objective in mind for what medium I'm going to use today, so if there's anybody that has any specific request, let me know. because I got no problem with doing that. I was thinking of just doing a straight-on graphite ink drawing. For what time we have together today. But like I say, if anybody has a request, now I've got some surface that's mixed media here. I'll pull it into the frame in just a second. Just clipping it on. Here is this large sheet of 11 by 17. Now in this surface I've put some tissue papers with some patterns in here, and some music, and some tape is in that surface. And let's see if we can pick any of this up with the zoom. So here is a couple pieces of paper I've got. Now there's this one that's got this lattice work in it, but it's also got some tapes and stuff. Not very exciting. But the one underneath has got this color value shift that happens as well, because there's some red colored tissue paper in here, as well as some paisley pattern tissue paper that's embedded down there, and instructions for my new desk chair. Because that's how I roll, folks. Throw it all in there, why not? If people have got one-page suggestions, please feel free to lay them on me. I will put them in the book, and we will get them in circulation, and we will be doing those as stories. Very excited about that. Very excited about those opportunities. I appreciate everybody that's putting suggestions in now, even if it's three random words, even if it's a piece of dialogue, even if it's just some crazy notion that you've had in your more adventurous moments. All of it matters. All of it counts. And I look at it all on the same level. So please, by all means, feel free to lay those at me. Yeah, so I'm gonna just, I think I'm sorry, I gotta hit the buttons. There we go. Alright, so I think I'll just start drawing in graphite directly on top of this surface. The question, should I draw it in the pen, should I just go straight to ink? And I think I'm fine with going straight to ink. Some people really like to pencil stuff out. I don't necessarily do that. So So our suggestion today is The Tears of a Nova Scotian Elf. I'll write it down on the post-it, and if one of my moderators is here, Tears of a Nova Scotian. Nova Scotia is a province in Canada. Elf. And this is by Robert Fett. V-H-E-T-T. V-H-E-T-T. Okay, so with this fun little paisley pattern, this really lovely light green, I think that I'll just start drawing. There we go, a little more light for you. A princess down on that in the first panel as she speaks to, the fact that we're going to do a story about elves. I just need something interesting and it's tricky, right? Your princesses are funny because modern princesses are just sort of rich girls. There's no fairy tale business like you'd see in medieval books and things like that. So what's a modern princess look like to you? And it's just like a lady who's dressed nice. Hi, not quite, the chivalric knight in armor, damsel in distress type business. So anyways, let's just draw. Sometimes you overthink things and it takes forever. So rather than do that, I'm just going to get right into it. So hopefully this is going to be able to be seen. I'll move the zoom camera. My situation got shifted around from my meetings. They adjust all my cameras. The programs all fight for, hey, who's the camera belong to, and then everything's out of whack. So if at all possible, I would prefer to use one sort of platform to do everything from, but unfortunately we all don't use the same platform, so that's the trick, right? Is there anybody that's got any projects in the work that they'd like to tell anybody? And if you do, feel free to put that in the chat. It's important that we encourage each other on the projects that they're doing, or each of us are doing. You know, I say this, and I had somebody that, feel free to tell people what you're working on, and they got upset because they feel like when they share what their objective is, then they feel like now there's all this pressure on them. I'm like, there's nobody putting pressure on you for that. That's an internal thing. But we all have our own different way of processing. I did this book that I'm finishing off right now, Stream of Conceitedness. I did this book 2 years ago and have done nothing with it. So, you know, I told people, yeah, I'm working on a book called Stream of Conceitedness. And they're like, is that book ever going to come out? And I'm like, I just got to finish it off. I literally have to just assemble the whole thing. And there's a great deal of people that do that in this, and storytelling and in art projects in general, where they'll say, yeah, I've got this great degree in design and I'm working on it and it's going to be so great. And it never sees the light of the day because the majority of time is spent on talking about it, building it up. Here's what it's going to be. It's going to be transcendent. And it's like, have you worked on it yet? Well, I plan on starting it. Okay, well, focus that energy differently. It's generally what I try to do, and that is talk less about, you know, the idea, and just get down to making those marks and exploring said idea. And before you know it, it's done. That's it's a trap that we get ourselves in as for creative people, is that oftentimes we'll say, oh, well, here's my grand intention. When are you going to do it? Well, I'm working on it. When? Soon. I was going to do it this time, but then I had to go to the store. That was 2 weeks ago. How long were you at that store? You know, we set ourselves up for these objectives, and then we don't sit down and get to it. Don't expect it's going to be perfect. Don't expect it's going to be done in the blink of an eye. But do give yourself a break to do it. Because as soon as that happens, before you know it, my goodness, the thing is done, and everybody's like, whoa, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. My goodness, this is going to solve world conflicts. You're going to create world peace with this thing you've produced. And by that, I'm talking about a more effective broom design than we've had until now. The kind of thing that can sweep away all the problems of the world. Disappointed in myself for that one. Wah, wah. I gotta set up some sound effects here. One of those sound effects can be bad joke sound effects. Wah, wah. And then on a button that I press and it says, I'm sorry. My bad. Try the soup. You know, just whatever. So there's kind of a crazy angle, so the face is looking a little bit stretched here. But we'll get this sorted out. It's a lot to do with this crazy hair, too. Trying to give this kind of a stained glass kind of a vibe. Ballpoint pen, to me, because I draw with it X amount, honestly, it feels just like working with pencil at this point. And just because you get so used to a tool, a mark making tool, and you stop thinking after a while about, oh, I don't want to use pen because then I can erase it, and you just realize I don't really erase things anymore. And you sort of plan out your image in such a way as you're going to follow the progression of said image. and go with it, and less concerned about any possible mistakes along the way. Once you can start doing that, then the whole idea of drawing with pen doesn't seem so daunting. Daunting might be the word I'm looking for there. So this is, I'm drawing a princess who's talking about, have you ever witnessed the tears of a Nova Scotian elf? Why I intended to draw a princess right off the bat is that we'd initially talked about doing this page and having a princess talk about elves and whether or not elves are real. And that's all I can remember about what we laid out about this, the idea of drawing this page. So that's where I think I was drawing something about a princess narrating the story. So that's where I'm starting. And eventually, ideally, it'll come back to me as we go. So we'll see. So we see. So I'm putting these lines, these motion lines down and developing up some patterns as her hair. This is her hair coming in. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come in with a white pen and I'm going to pick out lines. So where this pattern is that I'm drawing over top now, I'm going to pick in here the direction of some of these lines. I'll show you what I mean. Are you a white pen? Are you my mother? There we go. I found one buried at the bottom of everything. So here's what I'm referring to. So I've got this texture and pattern underneath. It just becomes part of the image, and some of these interesting shapes and marks that are in the pattern just sort of add a little something to the drawing as we're working on it. But having an underlying value like the light green here, so that as I come in and pull the highlights with the white pen over top, that green still peeks through and adds a little bit of secret sauce to the drawing in and of itself. So just because it's what I'm basically saying is that there's more dimension to it now because it has that third value. I've talked about this before. I'm working on something to make a little more sense of this for people, because I realize that as I'm talking about the act of creating and some of these ideas and techniques that I tend to utilize as I'm working on stuff, I tend to hodgepodge brain them together, and I'm trying to come up with something, a more clear and presentable way to get those across for folks. So stay tuned. I've been having a lot of fun, a lot of opportunities to talk to different people and talk to students and to do some things with some educators. And I've done a few things on the stream here, like Chris Calais' class in Mexico, and I feel really fortunate and blessed to be able to do those things. But I think perhaps at this point it might be necessary for me to put together a little more cohesive idea of the ideas and that I'm trying to get across in these settings, and a little more cohesive form anyways. So I'm drawing her with her crazy wavy hair, and I'm sort of thinking like your Disney movie of, oh my god, I'm totally a princess type scenarios. So I'm drawing like a bit of a Valley Girl vibe to our princess. So I'm giving her some pretty goofy hair, basing her on a Disney cartoon, of all things. Trying to make a realistic drawing out of a cartooned image. Taking a little bit of liberty as I'm doing it. So So I'm still just using a ballpoint pen, just a Staedtler 432 fine. I got a box of these at a supply store. I got a dozen for $2, and that's not that bad. And it had a lot to do with they didn't like the type of tip it has, and you have to apply some pressure as you're working. I'm like, well, this is for drawing, so that works fine for me. I think we'll have some fun with these pens, I said. And a person said, I'm just happy to hear they're going to a good home. That's not what they said, but I think that's what they meant. Okay, so this is me drawing the big wavy hair. And then we'll give a little more volume to that. As we draw on our character's costume. So let me see if I get the angle of the camera correct. Face doesn't look as distorted. There we go. We got the right angle there. So there she is. Here's our princess coming in together. And I thought we'd set her in a fancy magical castle background. So bear with me a moment. We'll get to that. Is there anything, I was thinking about this, is there anything that people have, I got asked this week, what is it that you really don't like drawing? And I thought, well, whether I like drawing a thing or not, some part of me finds it really important to challenge myself to draw something anyways. And to get myself to figure out how to draw something like, an elephant or how does a pistol work, or a bicycle, and these things that might seem really complicated and challenging to draw at one point. But honestly, if you can sit down to them and figure out the basics of how they work together, the shapes that build up the object, or the animal, or the building, whatever it is, then once you get a grasp on that, it sort of takes away a lot of that naysaying talk that we do for ourselves about, oh, I don't know if I'll ever be able to draw that. Well, sit down and give it a go. You might be surprised. So I tend not to have a list of things that I can't draw, in my mindset. It's just things that I haven't quite figured out how to draw yet. Let's go at it. I used to be the other way around. Of course, we all are at some point where we say, "Oh, I can't do that." Oh, I'm just going to automatically state that that's outside of my purview. So, as soon as we let go of that, then that really opens up for us the avenues that we can take to create different images. So I'm drawing some crazy shoulder pads. Crazy. Our princess's outfit here. And this is the hair that goes over top. And so I'm going to come back in with that white, like I was doing a few minutes ago, and pick and choose some spots to highlight again. And what that'll do optimally is to pull the interesting image into the foreground from the textured background here. And yet that textured background still peeks through, still gives it just a little something interesting behind. We know what it is. We know that it's a tissue paper that has a paisley pattern on it because we just saw it. But ideally, it's to your benefit if your reader, your person who's viewing your images and your story, have questions about how did that come about? How did they do this little paisley pattern underneath the hair, or within the hair? Well, it's our secret. It's between you and me, folks. So there's our hair up top. And you can leave certain areas where you don't. I smudge things out as I go along, just to diffuse how strong that value is. But you can leave those in. It's even more impactful, solid light areas. It's up to you. It's your picture. So this is the start of the Tears of a Nova Scotian Elf. There we go. So drawing with ballpoint pen is the same as drawing with pencil. It's less forgiving. If you do make some mistakes, you got to sort of try to have to try to figure out how to incorporate. Good heavens, incorporate those into your image. I'm going to pull out of the zoom there for a sec so we can see our magical princess. Let's expand this image just a tad. Give her some fingers. As she's saying, "Oh, look at my fancy outfit." Who, me? And then we'll bend that wrist. So there's her hand as she's doing this kind of a who me kind of a gesture. Good. Words are hard for me today, apparently. So this pattern outfit goes underneath, and then we'll do as part of the shape of their dress. And then we'll move the shoulder in here. And again, we'll come through with that white in a second and start picking and pulling out of that. Whoops, I'm sorry. So if we go back in at the top here, put some of that white into that hair. Just pick it out of the background. So if you're not following the stream, or if you're not following the channel now, I do request you start following, because that's going to let us do a bunch of cool things I really want to start doing for the channel. And it's not letting me do those things. And yet I know I can do those things on the thing, but the thing doesn't let me do the things. Yeah, I think. And let's see, what month are we in? August. The end of August, the weekend of the 24th, 25th, my brother-in-law John will be down, and I believe John and I will be doing some hanging out in the studio. And get John to come and join me on the stream here. That'll be a lot of fun. I changed up the YouTube channel, so if you take a look at it, all the people that have been guests on the stream, I've got a playlist now of those visits and those conversations about creativity and about art, and about the processes that they do for the projects that they're on. So that is available. There's another playlist that has time-lapse drawings on there. There's another playlist that has a bunch of silly shorts. You know, Corbin walking me to the studio and working in the studio with me. And then there's let's see, what else? Oh, the playlist of tutorials, a playlist of Lori's book reviews, and there'll be more of those to put on, and other. I'm so sorry. There's one more playlist that's on there that it's completely escaped my mind at this moment. Okay, so we'll put the curly hair going through here, and you can even have one under and over a finger. And so let's draw a line for how low this image is going to go, and it sort of gives us a cutoff for the size of the panel. So I think that this will be at about here. There we go. So there's about the bottom line of the panel now. Just drawing some interesting shapes and directional lines, bendy lines, and in order to imply volume and form in the outfit. So if I move this up, you can see how some of these lines is to just folds and bends in the fabric. And this is a little seam going through here of the clothing in and of itself, and how it connects to it. This yellow or this pink outfit will overlay this one. You know what I mean? Like silly little decisions like that. Just gives us a rough idea of the wherefore of why and how things are shaped. So, okay, we'll just get this second arm in here. Continuance of her silly outfit. All right, so if I pull back out of that zoom now, you can see the entirety of our character here drawn through, and we'll just put some more shape patterns to that here, and there we go. So we're just trying to bend the eye around the fact that the hair is not flat, but is roly-poly hair here. Okay, so here is our princess character drawn in right here at the first. So let's do this white highlighting now. But if people would rather this in a zoom, I can do it in the zoom as well. And pull that in close and just give me a sec. So here's our princess figure. And as we move up, her hair is rolling over her costume here. Fancy dress outfit. Okay. Same over here on this side. Just emphasizes the drawing and pulls it off of the background when we work that contrast in the foreground. Same could be done with color. Okay, so there is the hand, and there we are moving down into fingers, and then the last shoulder here. Okay, so if I pull back a little bit here. So there's our first character of our princess, who is going to tell somebody the difference between elves. This is the objective of our drawing. So let's put some curtains in behind, because I'm having really a lot of fun with these organic lines that are just moving the eye around. So let's put those curtains in behind her here. But what I'm not going to do is I'm going to leave the emphasis white on the young lady in the foreground, but I'm not going to bother doing that with the curtains in the background. I might consider to do something to pull her from, a little more emphasis on pulling her from the background, whether that's I think what I'll just do is a dark, heavy black outline, just to differentiate her from the space around her in the same image. I think that'll be enough for that panel there. Oh, see, I didn't really want to do that. Thicken up a few of these lines now. Okay, so here she is in the background. Now let's take, I think I'm going to use Fidenosuke pen. This is a really good marker pen that I really enjoy. They're by Tombow. It says on the side, no, I'm probably mispronouncing it. If I am, I apologize. Fudenosuka, or S-U-K. So Fudenosuke is how I pronounce it, which is Chris, the pronouncing is actually phonetic. I'm like, whoa, words are hard. So I'm just using this pen and putting a thicker, darker black line around the exterior of our character to just pull them from the background. Bangs for the memories. There we go. So I'm not outlining the hand from the body or anything like that. Then this says it'll be over 45 minutes. Okay, Linda. But there we go. So there's our first character. Now I can do that if people might think that would be more beneficial for... Yeah, we can do that. Why not? You talked me into it, guys. I know I went quiet there. I can start singing Bee Gees songs if that helps. Okay. There we go. Okay, so there's a few thick black lines to divide up some of the image a little bit here, just to keep it interesting for the folks back home. So there's our first image of our princess character talking to us, and so she's speaking to somebody off panel at this point. They've asked her perspective on something. So the notion here is that she's going to give what her understanding is, her value of elves. Just thought I'd do something silly. Maybe I'll have this as a musical. We'll see. Okay, let's do the next panel. So there's our first panel. Now I can line it in or not. It doesn't matter. I'm okay with whether I do or don't. I think that what I might do is immediately start drawing the next panel in the same relative space. And just work that background out as I go. Okay, so I'm trying to track some of the shapes. So I need to have this crazy shoulder bit of business. Now that comes into the center. We're keeping our princess lady demure here. Yes, yeah. So this last week, we done a bunch of stuff around the house and done some spring cleaning. I don't know if other people are doing spring cleaning right now. That's a lot of stuff that you acquire over time. You don't realize necessarily that you're doing it either. It's important that you give yourself the chance to reevaluate and ask yourself, would this be more beneficial to somebody else? If you can figure that out, then pass it on. Okay, so we'll give our character here a little more form, our princess character, and put some folds on the outfit. Well, the cats are all flipping out because it sounds like Lori's coming home. Awfully warm outside today here. Now it's not as hot as someplace like Arizona. My goodness. Last year they had 50 days over 100. Or 50 days over 40 degrees Celsius. Boy, oh boy. Move. So that's some crazy temperature. That's what that is. So I'm drawing the character here in the image right now as they're narrating to us this story about elves. Jim says, good to see you back, Chris. Thanks, Jim. It's very nice. Yes, sir. Sometimes you gotta take a moment. Oh, Jim, I gotta message me tonight if I forget, okay? Scheduling something about next year. Yeah, I know, next year, right? Who schedules things a year in a way? Tell people. So, I've moved her hair out of the way. So we're following this shoulder line here into our neck area there. Enjoyed an interview with Jim recently. He's in the chat today. Great interview about some of the things he's up to. And the magic of the interwebs. And after the stream today, after a couple of meetings, I get to mow the lawn. I know you're like, Chris, I'm so jealous. A very warm day to do it on. So I'm following some of these lines in the face. Gotta fix that chin. So we've got the same crazy bangs put in the foreground here. And then, and we'll do a little bit of highlighting in here as well. So what I mean, when you're drawing in pen, don't worry too much about, oh, they got that line in the chin. We'll fix that. It's fixable. You know, it's not like it's surgery or something. Oh, we amputated a leg and it meant to be an arm. Whoops. Well, you can't necessarily fix that, but this is just simple. The simplicity of drawing, folks. So we're doing the same puffy hair. So it seems a little bit hard to see here. So let's start doing what we did earlier and pick out some of these shapes in here. Same on this side. Yeah, so that makes the hair pop out a little bit better. Oh, I forgot to give this you know why this young lady looks a little bit different to me is I have forgotten to give her eyebrows. People need eyebrows, folks. That's how people know you're surprised. And as you get older and you have more furrowed lines in your forehead, you get really surprised. Watch. Oh! So I'll just finish up this part here. There we go. Corbin's been sitting in the window a lot lately. That's my studio cat, and he really enjoys sitting in the window these days. And so he scares me sometimes when he drops down. It's very loud. He just did it a moment ago. I don't know if you can hear that thump sound, but that was him having had his fun up in the window here in the studio. It's a bit of a maniac, that guy. The other day we had a ant on the floor there upstairs, and I got to watch Corbin like, oh yeah, here he goes. Look at this home defender of the home, and he sat on the floor and he rested on his paws and he just watched the ant walking, and he had no interest in engaging with it at all. So I did what any other pet owner would do. And that's encouragingly say, hey, buddy, do this. And I got on my hands and knees and I went. And I played with it like a cat. Or maybe I didn't. Something like that. Okay, so here's our little princess character coming in, who's now elaborating on the story in this next frame. So we'll just drop that down in there. A little bit of light value, emphasis points. And I'll zoom in a second and we'll show you. Clickety click, zoomity zoom. That's a little bit easier to see, isn't it? I'm sorry for that. Okay, so we'll do the same thing in a moment where first we got to get that crown in there. So there's the big circle at the front and little circles on there. And yep. Fun little pieces of information on that. Good to see you, Jim. Good to see and hear from everybody that's joined the stream today. Tuesdays and Thursdays I'll be guaranteed to be here. I'll be doing a number of other things as well on the channel. But I confirm a locked-in time of 2 o'clock Tuesdays and Thursdays. Just because there's a lot of things happening. Sometimes turning, sometimes twisting. There's definitely things going on. So, if you're not following, please follow us and put on that notification if you want to know about those things. I got so many surprises. Okay, so here is our second image, and I know I'm at the wrong angle, so everything looks really stretched. I apologize for that. But this is our second image of our princess as she's telling us all about magical elves. And I thought that for this one, for this image, I would show, I'm going to thin out the curtain folds behind her, and then we're going to have her standing at a big window here. So we'll put some bricked, so what I'm looking for, folks, joints, some brick joints around her, and we'll get her drawn into her background. So I'm just going to put some bricks in behind her here, and we're going to have her looking out of a window and saying, "Sweet googly moogly, what's going on outside?" And then there's the framed window. So, and then I'll put the bottom part of the window here. Sorry, I'll get that in frame. I apologize. I pull out. That's probably easier. I'll zoom out. So I'm putting the outside of the window there. And I'll put some of that pattern down here for the brickwork that's going on underneath this window. Shadow there. So this is a surface that's got white gesso on it, and it's got some different colored. There's a light, really light green paint. There's some tissue paper in here, and in here, and in here, and some instructions for the bottom of my office roller chair. And so just adding some interesting business to go in behind in the drawing. So pulls out a ruler and then doesn't use a ruler. This guy. So there's the what am I calling this? I guess this is I gotta do the same pattern, the same frame. This is the bricks. I was trying to think if it's this or it's this, but that's on the outside. So the bricks are what we would see on the interior. So let's put those through. 1.5 times the size of the ones on the opposite side to give a sense that these are a little bit larger. And then this will frame in our character. Into the castle setting. So sounds good, Chris. Well, thanks very much, Chris. So I'm just haven't decided how I'm going to go about doing this part yet, so I'll figure that out. All right. Okay, so we've got the first two panels coming together. I'll come through with this white jelly roll pen. And then I'll do that outline. Maybe I'll do the outline for you first. Make things a little more clear. I still have yet to draw the outside. There we go. So it's a kind of a simple approach today, but I'm just playing with different ideas, playing with some different things here. But this gives us a better sense of how our fairy tale princess character stands out. Okay. Yeah, and little emphasis lines, little outlines. Yeah. So we got our first two panels together. I have the tears of a Nova Scotian elf. And then of course there's the window outside. And then there's the shape of the bricks as they frame the window up. There, okay. Gives us something anyhow. So I've just changed the pattern of the curtains to blend panel 1 into panel 2. I've literally just condensed the curtain spacing down a little bit. Jim says, what's the longest you've gone without drawing even a doodle? Probably, I don't know, not very long, a few days. When I've been in hospital for the first few days, that would be probably a couple of times that's happened. Or maybe on like I can't even say when we've gone on like a camping trip or something, because I'll draw at the campsite. But I've been drawing the last few days. I've been doing one pages and things and the postcards. It's just this weekend I built a front porch on the house, and we've paved our driveway and stained the fence at the back and the gates, and in addition to doing all kinds of stuff together and just having a little mental health break. But I draw every day, so you tend to find, even as a musician, you might not be playing gigs every day, but you're probably plunking away on your guitars or your whatever your instrument of choice is. People tend to do the things that they enjoy. It's a fun question though, Jim. Thank you for asking. Just gonna thin that upper lip a little bit. And thicken up the white here. There we go. Okay. So here's our first couple images about the princess talking about elves. And I'm going to draw the fairy tale background in there as well. But we're at about an hour 20. Yeah, so I think I might sign off for now. Not to say I won't be doing anything later. But well, why don't I just finish drawing the fairy tale background? What would that be? It would be little buildings and thatched roofs. I'll zoom in for this so you can see it a little clearer. So I'm drawing little buildings with thatched roofs and little windows. And our little medieval village outside, where everything has its own individual logic, Little chimneys and hoo-has and doodads and one thing built in front of the next thing, and just keeping it fun and complicated. Interesting. We'll put some more in the foreground and like so, just to populate it, right? That's peeling up there. That ain't healthy. Put a short roof on this one. Yeah, just a fun little medieval world here. See, so as much as it looks like it's a little fantasy storyline that I'm drawing in here, honestly, I got no guarantees on what crazy script I'm going to put to it. It's me. It's going to be something silly. For those that are just joining in, I'm not the most serious person. See our tissue paper peeling up? Cheeky tissue paper. And then we'll put a little mountain up here in the background and little houses up along the mountain. Do. You know, for all we know, she's a medieval dentist, and she's talking about how elves whine and cry a lot about dental care. We don't know. We haven't figured that part of our story out yet. So this is. I'll finish this off our fun little village of buildings and get everything put together, and yeah, just kind of. And I'm doing smaller and smaller buildings in the background to recede them up the hill. Just to give a sense of more and more depth for that background. There's a little turret. Besides another little house there. And a house above that. Yeah. So this is our little winding medieval town that comes right outside our castle window. I'll have to fix that tape down or something. Put one more layer up above that, like so. There we go. Okay, so there's the start of our little town. This is a lot of fun to do something like this, and there's this one right in the foreground. I'll put a silly little chimney on the roof of it. And all on top for where the smoke comes out. Put a little balcony off of that one. I'll put some more little ornate bits of business around. But there's our, you know, you can get silly too. You can put little stone frames around the windows, as you'll often see in really old buildings. So there's our little medieval village coming together here. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do. Okay, so I'll get that all finished up, and let's see the pages it's looking out. So here's what we got so far, a third of our page drawn. So there's the rest of it. So I'll get this, The Tears of a Nova Scotian Elf, drawn by tomorrow. My intention with the next 3 panels is different kinds of elves. This is, I remember now how we lay this out, is that different types of elf examples that she's going to talk about. And we'll see where it goes from there. Okay, folks, that's about it for me for right now. I will be back posting a whole bunch of stuff, so keep an eye out, keep the notifications on there. And you're going to see some fun content coming to the stream now. And I'll be back. I'm going to pop in this weekend, so we'll talk to you then. Bye for now.